Ezra Pound speaking. Radio Speeches of World War II. Number 74. April 6th, 1943. U.S. C-27. Fetish. I am opposed. I believe that no American should kill or be killed in order to maintain the fetish value of metal, of any metal. The pattern of the crime is known. The patterns of the various component parts of the major crime are known. They have been witnessed time after time. A weak and cowardly nation invokes the aid of savages to crush a rising, more honest power. England inciting Red Indians against English colonists in America. France in the grip of her usurers, bringing black troops into Europe. London and New York inciting aid of the Tartar and Muscovite. And no man knows better than Churchill the meaning of the Stalin Canal. No literate man in Europe or America is ignorant of what Judoslavic domination has meant and means. Sheer terror and lust of greed, and no amount of evasion and hired propaganda will hide it. The governments of London and Washington have betrayed civilization and know it. They fight for monopoly, and the American people have been betrayed into fighting for the gold bugs. Throughout the ages it has been the favorite device of the creditor class first to work a contraction of the currency, which bankrupted the debtors, and then to cause inflation, which created a rise, during which they sold the property they had laid hold of. This alternate lifting and debasing the value of money is not accidental. When Kitson met Bryan already knew that the silver propaganda was an implement or a camouflage over a major issue. That, namely, of the control of the national credit, or the national power to buy. England makes war to have war, war being the maximum sabotage. And without sabotage on this scale, it was impossible by 1939 to create scarcity. And without scarcity, no monopoly. And without monopoly of goods, or more particularly of money itself, extortion is difficult. Samuel Lloyd understood the use of the single standard. After Waterloo, no effective power withstood the usurers until, by 1914, the complete usocracy had been constructed. For 50 years, or for 70, it had been almost impossible to get any large-scale propaganda against the fetish value of gold, save by ballyhoo about silver. By 1878, silver ballyhoo was already necessary to get in a motion to keep at least some of the non-interest-bearing national debt in circulation as currency. Those words are Greek to most hearers. Bryan denounced the cross of gold, but needed support from the silver interests, and it was insufficient. Most of the gold in the world is in the British Empire, in the US, and in Russia, and mankind is against dying to maintain the fetish value of gold. Thousands of Americans have already died for that metal. They have died for a fetish used for more than a century to hypnotize mankind into accepting certain frauds inherent in the money system, in the contraction of the currency, periodically, in order to force other people, sometimes called the debtor class, to pay double for what they have had. But beyond that, to extort produce, wheat, cloth, natural products, and elaborated goods from the producers. Can you ever understand that the return to gold under Lloyd George and Churchill meant that 73% of the population of India had to pay up twice as much grain or farm products to meet taxes and interest charges? 75%, because that is the percentage of Indian population that depends upon agriculture. And what goes for Indian agriculture in a case of that kind goes for agriculture all over the world. Wars are made to make debt. You have already got quite a lot of it, and the Judeophile New York Herald is already howling to have it quadrupled by the simple device of returning to gold as the fictitious basis of bank loans and currency. Wilkie, I take it, is already being groomed up to work that betrayal on the American people. The wheeze was worked after the wars of Napoleon. It was worked after the American Civil War. It was worked by the Cunliffe Committee after the last war. Ships are sunk in order to have ships sunk. When ships are sunk, there is a greater demand for new ships. The sinking augments the market for new ships. More ships are wanted because more ships have been destroyed, and loan capital, usurer's capital, money made by a stroke of the banker's pen, is wanted for financing new construction. Arabs are murdered to keep things lively. Cities are destroyed in order that cities may be destroyed. The frontier means nothing to the financier. The more houses fall on both sides of the frontiers, the more loan capital will be wanted. So long as the usurocrat system endures, the more loan capital will be required to finance reconstruction. The more simple people are ruined, the more bankruptcies. The more bankrupt concerns can be snapped up cheap by the owners of loan capital. Has no one ever examined the Reconstruction period, the period after the American Civil War, from this angle? With race or without race, examine it. The more energy goes into destroying goods, the less will go into making them. The more energy goes into goods intended for immediate destruction, the less will go into goods made for use. The faster you destroy goods, the faster superfluous money will mount up, unless you employ a Gesellite or similar mechanism to destroy the money as fast as the goods are blown to hell or sunk in the oceans. Without Gesell, that means inflation. That is, $1 worth 10 cents worth of potatoes. Debt is already upon you. Some of you know that. But 99% of you don't see that the deflation, the contraction of the currency is already planned, that the same banking houses that have worked the wheeze 4 times and more times are already waiting their moment to spring. If there is a sane man or an honest man left in America, let him get out a new edition of the Banker's Conspiracy, a 10-cent edition, an edition people can buy. Henry Ford or Firestone or whoever survives of their generation ought to have memories long enough to remember Olney and Cleveland and the struggles of 1893. Hank Wallace betrays Martin Van Buren. but there ought to be some college campus left where the local historian still has liberty to correlate the works of the American founders and to put the works of Kitson and Brooks Adams together, despite the new censorship, despite telegraph restrictions, despite, and I warned you of it, the interruption of intercommunication between one American and another inside the U.S. Your means of communication by your own automobiles have been curtailed. End of number 74. Fetish. Ezra Pound speaking. Radio speeches of World War II.